Hi all, let's look at game 12 of the World Chess Championship. So the final game of the classical section. Will it be decisive? E4 for Magnus. E5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop e5. We go into the Berlin defense, which has a reputation of great solidity and robustness. Some might say dullness, but it's very popular in World Chess Championships. White plays castling, which is the main move. Knight takes e4. Now here rook e1 was played. The Berlin endgame is with d4. That's the most popular move actually, and we get this knight d6 hitting the bishop, taking here, and black doesn't mind his king displaced, and this is very trendy at the moment, this position. Theoretical debate around this position. Karjakin has been doing well though against super GMs, winning with white sometimes. So there are winning chances from this position, but okay, it was avoided with rook e1. Now in a way this is also not entirely mega exciting, this position. Bishop's attacked. We have knight takes e5. Black cannot of course take here because then knight takes c6 check, wins the queen. So black plays bishop e7, shielding the king. We have bishop f1. The knight was attacking the bishop. Bishop drops back to f1. Now you'll notice that the pawn structure, they say the pawns are the soul of chess. It's not exactly the most exciting soul here because it's one shared file. But in a previous game we did have an exciting game from this position, believe it or not. When rook e2 was played, that was in game 3. But here we see not rook d5, but that would be exciting. No, I think it would be trapped there. I think rook e1 was played here, so no surprise. Rook e8, bishop f4, and this is a kind of interesting Bates move because after rook takes e1, queen takes e1, you might spot two threats. White is threatening to double the pawns, but hasn't black got that pawn here? In fact, it's a little positional trap, I think, to take this pawn. Black played knight e8. If he does take that pawn, white can either take on d6 or play c3 here. If he takes on d6, black would be in massive trouble after this because of, can you spot it? If I give you 5 seconds. Yeah, bishop takes c7. There's a back row mate. If takes, we have a back row mate. And if this gains an important tempo, well, white's just up massively after knight c3. Yeah, that's just winning for white. Okay, so also, okay, this is the exciting moment so far of the game. I wasn't trying to say that there wasn't any other exciting moments, sorry. So queen takes e1. Yeah, on bishop takes here, yeah, I mentioned bishop takes. There's also, white can also play, well, black can play this and we get this position, which is slightly better for white, believe it or not. So I think this is to be avoided because positionally this d pawn's a goner. Rook d1, knight b5. Yeah, black wants to avoid this, even though he's temporarily a pawn up technically, but no, that black wants to avoid this sort of situation. You can see a build up on the d pawn. I have that in my other variation notes. Let me just show you there. Around here. This position where c3 is played into the bishop takes d6. It's transposes. So knight a3, knight b5. Heading to blockade. Queen d2. And then if black gives back the pawn, we get this position, which is slightly better for white. There's no point for black to have this because structurally, yeah, he's got a backward pawn here on that file. There's no point for black to have this excitement level, which is not in his favor. So we have actually here just knight e8, not taking that bait. c3 secures the pawn. Also the c2 square has been vacated. Blunts the bishop. We have d5. Opens up the bishop. Bishop d3. Now this is a classic plan in this scenario. g6 to fianchetto the knight to be able to play bishop f5. It's also, of course, immediately blunting the light square bishop. Now, knight d2 would seem sensible, but here we see knight a3, which is, in a way, more interesting, because it has knight b5, potentially. It seems black can actually even ignore this, though. Continue with knight g7. It's not such a deadly threat, after all. Black can actually play knight g6, believe it or not, here. Because if knight b5, there's knight e6 just in time, hitting f4 and protecting c7, and this would be absolutely fine for black. So that's not a big deal, but c6 was played. And you might wonder, this position, why is this a big deal? Well, the knight can come to e3 and hold f5, maybe to try and discourage black's plan of knight g7. Now, before we go on this route, knight d2 was just more was like the sensible move. Standards, which does have a perk that white can quickly grab, asserts the e file, but yeah, there isn't much going on, but maybe there's more potential for black to theoretically blunder at least. But here it's just about equal. There's an infiltration point, but no, there's not even an infiltration point. No, queen e7 would be a blunder actually here. Sorry about this. Let's just check this. Queen e7 would be a massive howler, right? Or not? I'm just wondering. Nope, it's fine. Panic over. The knight protects the rook. I just thought it was a mistake for a moment. No, this is a repetition here, for example. If we go this route. Okay. So anyway, knight d2, yeah, it wasn't going to change the excitement levels of the game too much. So knight a3, the drunken knight on a3, seemingly drunken. c6. So we see knight c2, but it comes back to the center rapidly. Now here, you might think knight e3 would have been to discourage this possibility, but we see a bailout here with queen d2, allowing bishop f5. So why not knight e3, you might wonder. Let's have a quick look at this position. Knight e3 to stop, if there's any benefit of this route. Prosaic route. Knight a3 to c2 to e3. Black has a forcing move actually, knight h5, to try and grab that dark square bishop. So if bishop g3, black just grabs, and actually black's a little bit better, technically. Yeah, and if bishop h6, black's fine with bishop g5. Yeah. So black will be absolutely fine here. Okay, so maybe Magnus was dissuaded from playing knight e3 here because of knight h5. He played queen d2 instead, which keeps possession of the g5 square. If you have knight h5, I think we have bishop h6 without any bishop g5 then. So it keeps possession of the dark squares, but allows, of course, bishop f5. So simplifying like this. And now knight e3, everything's coming off rapidly. Everything's coming off. Not the most mega exciting game of all time. I wonder if people are annoyed that they really paid their tickets for maybe some excitement and they get this. Oh dear. King f8 looks like a move, but maybe that's dangerous. We see bishop f8 instead. Let's have a look here. Is king f8 actually playable? No, this would be a massive blunder. Safety point. Because of the forcing move check. Actually, even the forcing moves in this position are actually mega dangerous. Bishop g5, end of game, 1-0. That would be going up in history as one of the most amazing blunders from an otherwise completely drawn and equal position. King f8, yeah, because of bishop e6 check. Oh dear, that would be bad. But no, we have bishop f8. Another thing black can consider is a self pin if he wants to make it exciting. Bishop g5. Black can save himself here with king f8. Now the forcing sequences here are not lethal, funny enough. We just repeat like this. Okay, so yeah, so there was actually the self pin as well. Bishop f8 was played. why go into the south pin? King f1, f6, and now g4. So this is against the cut, not the colour of the opponent's bishop. That's quite often you see that in Magnus Carlsen endgames. He puts pawns away from the opponent's bishop. It's a form of prophylaxis, security. It's also discouraging any f5 or h5 later, of course. And we see king f7, h3, rook e8. The rooks come off, king e2. So yeah, not much happened except rapid simplification, it seems, across the one shared file. You'll notice another perk here of g4. It stops a king infiltrating to f5, a4, a6. All the pawns are going on knight squares here, and they have to play 30 moves to be able to 30 moves to be able to agree a draw, and that's both sides here have played now 30 moves after bishop e7. This is 30 bishop e7, and a draw was agreed here. So they're both keen to enter the tie-break situation, which is the faster time controls. Some people have argued that the faster time controls are more interesting in chess, but sometimes classical games are mega exciting though, and it gives time to players to find really interesting dynamic possibilities. But this game is not an example because the symmetrical pawn structures, for me and for most people, I think, are on the dull side. They take out the risk of positions, they take out the imbalances. If you look at Silman's imbalances concept, if you want to strive for a win, you're usually after imbalances in the opening and then playing on your trump cards, letting the opponent play on theirs, so you try and get the decisive result. But here it's like the opposite, actually, because both players wanted to cut down the risk as much as possible, and the opening created a situation, with the one shared file, the symmetrical pawn structure, total lack of imbalances, in fact. So anyway, that's how it is. It's been a grueling match, though. There have been some very long, hard-fought games in the classical section. So now we enter the tie-break section. Okay, game on. World champion yet to be decided. Comments, questions, likes appreciated. Thanks very much.